it's recording. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So how can we participate in the process of love, which is a reality beyond our three-dimensional reality? How can we participate in its coming into existence through us? That seems to be the Western task. That is a way of addressing our dire condition of lovelessness.
And if this sort of realization is born out of the will to power sacrificing itself unto itself, but yet the will to power is responsible for so much, you could say, almost darkness, almost the opposite of love.
The will to power does what it does.
Yeah.
Our responsibility lies in not taking up the right relationship to it. We've taken this gift of free will and decided to privilege security, comfort, self-serving activities, and basically turn away from anything metaphysical. We did that. The will to power is a spiritual phenomenon that came in, and we took it up. This is what Faust points to, the story of Faust. We took it up to serve ourselves. We did that. So there's now a heavy price.
And does the will to power have an end goal then? Is this to
self-sacrifice?
Self-sacrifice. Yeah, of course.
To come into the world as its own sacrifice, and that seems to be the path that brings this enormity, love, into the world through us. We seem to be the beings who can participate and assist that process.
And obviously, that sounds like something that everyone would want, you know. Actually, yeah, that's a bit presumptuous of me. I'm sure there's a lot outside of love that people are desiring right now, and that's why
we've done away with the goddess, and the love she brings to creation. It doesn't appear to me that we want love at all. I mean, people are suffering. We see it in our practice every day. People are suffering from the absence of love in their lives, but we privilege power totally over the demands of love, and we're paying the price for that.
Could that be through some conditioning by some other power outside of ourselves, in the sense that I think most people, well, I can't really say that for most people, but I think a lot of people, once you talk to them deeply enough, realize that love is one of the more important things in life. But so many people are conditioned to just strive for power and
striving. The will.
The will. Yeah.
Conditioned is right. Yeah. To the process towards love is the process of surrender, suffering. sacrifice. The very three things that are left out of any consideration in our technological culture. And not to enter the discourse. But you mean we have wonderful literature and artwork that shouts it. So.
What was again? Sacrifice?
Sacrifice, surrender. And whatever the third one was.
Yeah.
Suffering.
Suffering.
Yeah. Initiatory suffering.
Yeah.
So initiatory suffering is opening yourself up. In your case, it would be opening yourself up to the awakening within you that now is making a claim on your life. That would be initiatory suffering. So I'll give you my version of your dream. This was back in the early 90s when one day I was sleeping on the couch in the afternoon, and I got into that half awake, half asleep hypnagogic state, and I realized that there was a massive brown bear on the couch behind me, and I was in his arms. Now, I could smell that bear. I could smell his wet, damp fur. I could smell it today. I could feel his gigantic claws, which were about that long, wrapped around me, and he was sleeping, as I was. And I could smell his breath, his fetid breath. I could feel his fur. I mean, it was that real, so I had no doubt that in some sense of reality I had a Alaskan brown bear, and I was sleeping in his arms or on the couch. I had an immediate spasm of terror, leaped out of his arms, and stood up. And then I made a choice. I realized wrong move. So I got back into his arms and he folded over. And the choice I made was, this brown bear is behind me and surrounding me. So from now on, whatever I do, I must take his presence into account. That's the move. I can no longer act as an independent subject, freewheeling subject, choosing whatever I want, saying whatever I want, doing whatever I want, because there's a being behind me, embracing me, that may have interests very different from mine, and I'm tied to him in some mysterious way. He surrounds me. It's one image of the objective psyche in its animal aspect. He's surrounding me and containing me and bigger than me and could be dangerous, but also life. And I've tried to be faithful to that commitment ever since. I've had many, many animal dreams where I've been taught basically that lesson. I had another one where I was lying on my analyst's, on the couch in my analyst's room. The analyst wasn't there, on my back and asleep, and then arising up on the couch from the floor over my head was a gigantic cobra, black cobra with a head about that big. And I saw it, and it was flicking its tongue in and out. And somehow I knew, stay still. It's just like the bear, stay still, stay very still. So I stayed still, and that showed a willingness to obey the serpent's will. You know, whatever the serpent wanted to do, I'll participate in it. So it came close, and what it did was flick its tongue in and out of my mouth. And I felt an indescribable feeling of love flood my being from that. So that's a similar experience to the brown bear. I've had many other, like the greater being, that really not a lot you can do if the serpent decides to strike. Not a lot you can do. So that just automatically shift in the power relationship. I'm no longer the center of power. I'm no longer the free-willing individual. Suddenly there's a greater power, and it's hovering over me. I'm subject to its will. That is transformative. That starts you on this path that I'm talking about, and it can happen anywhere. It can happen with animals in external life, where if you go into the bush, or I did once. I went into a field and there were these horses, and it was midnight. I was crossing the field, and these horses raced around me, and I realised, they could do anything they like with me, and I'd have no say. So I just decided to steadily, calmly cross the field while they were racing around me, and I had no idea what was going to happen next. But that gives you the right feeling, that there's a wisdom beyond mine that doesn't care about whether I have lunch or whether, how good I am doing this, that, and the other. They have their own intention, and I don't know what it is, and they hold the ball in their hands. It sorts you out very quickly, and that can come from the inner world, or it can come from the outer world through experiences with intelligences that you cannot sway one way or the other. With horses, you've got a better chance. With dogs, but with a serpent, they're basically a spinal cord with teeth, and you do not influence. The human position has no say on what's going to happen next, and that really sorts you out. Whether you get that experience outwardly through a snake, or inwardly through a dream serpent or a spiritual snake, the effect is the same. If you can be initiated by that experience into assuming your rightful role as servant rather than the master of the world. That begins the initiatory process.